I went into the program not entirely knowing what to expect. So I found it because I have a friend who like follows one of the other participants, and he'd written a blog post about his work at Alex. And I just thought, you know what, this is this moment of turning point in my business. And so I just dove right in without a lot of research, which is not like me at all. And it was challenging because I feel like one of the things that you did in that program with me was just really pushed me to look outside of some beliefs and identity issues that I had about how I run my business. And so, one of the things that's really hard for me is actually to let go of that ego piece of working with a client and being the one who could come in and kind of help them with this message that they have or the story they have when they're struggling. And realizing that part of my new model was going to be turning them away. It hurts your ego, right? To be like, I'm not going to be the one to fix that. And so that was challenging, but I don't think it was you and the coaching that was challenging, because like the most amazing thing that you have, Alex, is this ability to make people feel like, oh, you can do that. Like you can get through that. Like, and you make everything feel like, oh, this is so easy. It's like no big deal. Just do it. And sometimes I wanted to scream at you and be like, no, it is a big deal. And I feel like there were times with like stupid things, like working at a website, when it's like, don't you understand how hard this is for me? And you're like, no, Brigitte, just do it. But that was actually exactly what I needed. Was in my own head, this is this big surmountable problem. And confronting the idea of like, no, it doesn't have to be so hard, and you don't have to overthink everything, and you can get through it. And I'm definitely an overthinker. And so that piece of just fast movement was the challenging part, but also like what I needed in that moment. I always felt like, how am I a part of this group? Like looking around. And the thing that I really liked about it is that I've been in a lot of online business communities over the years, and some that I'm still part of, other masterminds that I love very much. But this group definitely had more, I feel like, diversity of experience and kinds of businesses that people were running and trying to build, and the aspirations that they were trying to reach for themselves than what I'm used to. So I feel like a lot of times these kinds of groups can become very self-selective and homogenous. So, you might have groups that everybody's coaches or everybody's consulting and a creative, like marketing consultants, those kinds of things, right? And it was just really nice to have the perspectives of people who were, building, like people who had actual software or technology that they built, which isn't something that's really within my sphere very much. To people who've kind of been further along with their productized services, to people who are like, oh, I'm just very much trying to figure it out. All of those conversations were so illuminating, because even when they weren't always like, oh, this isn't my problem right now, man, like the pages of notes I would take on these calls of questions and things to think about were so awesome. And then offline too, like everybody's so generous. So I don't know, it's just like the most amazing experience to have people really generous and open with, oh, I've been here through that, and here's a template I developed, or oh, here's an article that I found that really helped me, or a model that you might take a look at. It was just really great to have different people kind of curating that information for you. Again, that's not always from the same source. I feel like I'm going through and like saving all those links for myself, because it was just so useful. We would have the call, and we'd definitely be sort of an order of one after another, but it was like you were participating and giving feedback or asking questions, but other group members were able to as well. And so we all have our kind of different areas of specialty or things that we kind of know about. And you did a really good job of kind of tapping people on the shoulder in the beginning, so that I think that later on, as we got more comfortable with that model, we were able to do it much more organically. And I think another thing, which maybe not everybody's going to like this, but I really liked it, is that the group wasn't just like a cheerleading group to coddle you. Like I don't think any of us were so much in the beginning of our businesses that if you got a little bit of feedback of like, oh, maybe this isn't going to quite work, that we were all going to like, be like, oh my God, I can't run a business anymore. Right. Which you kind of get in some groups with people. And it was much more like, oh, all right, I got to think about this for a minute and go chew on it and come up with something new. Not that no one was ever negative, but just having people say, what, I tried that once, it didn't work. And then it was up to you. Okay, do I think it applies to me or not, was great. So all the different feedback, and then that like really gentle process of not being coddled too much was nice. Yeah, whenever I talk about this program to anyone, the things that I always kind of point to are, it really mattered to me and was important to me that you've kind of been there and done that. So that you had built WP Curve, sold it, like that you weren't just a coach operating on theory, but you'd had your experience. And then there's a component to that too, though, of it wasn't just your experience. Since then, you've worked with other businesses and you've seen different models. And I think both are really important, where you have, I've been through this and I can relate, and here's what worked for me. And I can draw on this wealth of other experiences from within my network to help. And I just really love the kind of like super practical, like nuts and bolts kind of work that came out of that qualification. So I always tell people, what are you looking for in a coach? Like if you want somebody who knows, here's the process that's going to take you there, that is going to give you really individualized feedback. Because that's something that was amazing here, was that feedback was all tailored to each of us as individuals, even though it was within a framework. I don't know. I think this program is the best for that. It's fantastic.